I want you to take 250 milligrams a week. We'll add into that telmisartan. Don't worry about the blood pressure, telmisartan. And let's throw in some Cialis. Oh, and may as well take some HCG. And why not, let's just throw in some Enclomiphene while we're at it. When the person on the phone from a TRT clinic gets a percentage of sales, do you really think that your best interest is in mind? Coach Greg, and in today's video, TRT, testosterone replacement therapy, or Enclomiphene, or should you be using none at all? Dr. Pete Attia is going to speak with Chris Williamson about exactly this.
One of the other things that's been happening a lot recently is the rise in TRT usage among young men. Maybe in part due to hoping to elevate their mood, to improve the way that they feel.
Here's the thing. Young men typically are using these in very, very high doses. When people say TRT, it means testosterone replacement therapy. The problem is people are using them in supraphysiological doses. And what does that mean? Well, it means that essentially they're taking twice the amount that they should be taking. What we see right now, especially on social media, is young men claiming they're on TRT when they're actually on supraphysiological doses. One of the most prevalent cases was when Alex Eubank went on testosterone replacement, perhaps at 200 milligrams a week, but soon discovered that his testosterone was 1,500 nanograms per deciliter. And so, in case you don't know how high that is, mine, and I'm on HRT, 140 milligrams a week, mine is in the 700s and 800s at best.
200 tests a week. What we're starting at. Will I take a little bit more? Maybe. I think the most I'd ever take is like 250.
Very high levels, it isn't safe.
They do so without, necessarily a nuanced approach to how to do this.
This is not TRT prescribed by your doctor. It's essentially low-dose cycles.
Take me through the risks of TRT. What are they, high level?
If we're going to talk about TRT done correctly, do you mean literally TRT, testosterone replacement therapy, or
that and its more malignant offshoots?
When you look on social media and you ask people about TRT, they're not actually on TRT. They're mislabeling TRT in order to get away with using small cycles and no one saying anything to them negative at all.
I would say let's start with what's sort of known in the medical world, right? So we'll start with kind of appropriate physician-administered testosterone replacement therapy.
For an appropriately aged individual.
For an appropriately aged individual at an appropriate physiologic dose.
And so what that means is, what are the dangers of using the proper amount of testosterone at the proper age? If you're in your 20s, it most likely is not the proper age for you, unless, of course, you're suppressed. And if you are, you could use either Enclomiphene or testosterone with the advice and consent from your doctor. If you're just buying some gear from bro at the gym and saying, I'll just do 1 cc a week, that's low, that's TRT. It's not. It's abusing steroids.
Testosterone replacement therapy is not increasing the risk of prostate cancer at all, and it may, in fact, be decreasing the risk slightly.
Wow. And so when I was younger, we always heard, testosterone risk is prostate cancer, that you could get prostate cancer when you're older. And I know that I recently had an elevated PSA. And so we were concerned. Can I continue to use testosterone and continue my HRT? Thankfully, we discovered that the PSA was elevated because I had inflammation from bike riding. The seed gets up all in that business and it was inflamed. I was prescribed finasteride at 5 milligrams a day, which I'll discuss those problems in a little bit. But since that time, I don't have to take anything. Thankfully, if you're on TRT prescribed by your doctor in lower doses, allowing you to be in the normal reference range, an increase in prostate cancer risk is not of a concern.
Do you do it and shut your eyes and never look again? Of course not. You're still monitoring his PSA every 3 months, and you're going to look for any sign of recurrence. And if there is, in fact, a recurrence, you would immediately cease it, because what we do know is testosterone would feed prostate cancer.
If you don't get your blood work monitored, you don't know if your PSA is elevated, you don't know what's going on, and there's a host of other problems. And so remember, I am a part owner of Algo RX, and so if you require your blood work and or, for example, Enclomiphene and or HRT, of course, click the link in the description, code Greg for 10% off.
But the point I'm making is around initiation. Is there any evidence that testosterone replacement therapy initiates prostate cancer? The answer is no, there is not. And there is some evidence to the contrary.
If you do currently already have prostate cancer, then testosterone, it feeds it. And so that you need to be careful. But if you don't have it, it's not going to cause it to start. if that makes any sense.
The cardiovascular disease question is a little bit more difficult and the data are a little bit more muddled.
But what about the heart? Now, this is something you have to be careful about. If you're abusing steroids in higher doses, you all know you can have increased cardiovascular disease, heart attack, stroke, the list goes on. And you really need to monitor your blood work. Do you have low HDL, elevated LDL? What exactly is going on? There are, in fact, several risks, especially when you start to push the envelope and start to take higher doses. And remember, everyone wants to take higher doses. Sorry, you do. I do. Why do you think that I don't? I'm on 140 milligrams a week. My doctor said 200, no problem for you. I can take that based on my blood work, based on the results. It's safe for me to take 200. And so why do you think that I'm not? Don't you think I want to get more jacked than last time? Don't you think I want wider shoulders? That I want to look like a bodybuilder? I've done it my entire life. The reason is because the lowest dose that makes you happy, whatever that dose may be, the lower, the better. If you can take less, then do so.
On balance, they come out in the direction of TRT does not increase the risk of cardiovascular disease.
Even when I was on HRT. Now, prior to that, I was on abusive levels of steroids, lots, 10 to 20 times the doses. I knew that wasn't good for me, but I thought, well, eventually I'm going to have to stop. But even when I had to stop, I didn't want to go cold turkey. My testosterone levels were 47. They tested me again and it was 49. This is very, very low. It's similar to that of a female. And so I needed testosterone. My body wasn't producing testosterone normally due to my abuse for 10 years. For me to hear that I can take low doses of testosterone prescribed by my doctor safely and I won't get cardiovascular disease from that, maybe from what I did previously, well, that is music to my ears.
In my view, that's a slightly premature conclusion because I don't think the Traverse study was done perfectly. Did not give men a high enough dose, in my view.
But with one caveat. If you give people testosterone in lower doses on the lower end, it's 100% safe. So for example, you're at 49 nanograms per deciliter, 47, or even let's call it 67, 7. Those low doses that if you get up to normal levels, 500 or 600, 700, perhaps no increased risk of cardiovascular disease. But if you start pushing the envelope, you want to take it up to 1,000, 1,100, 1,200. That's still safe, right? It's not. It increases your risk of heart disease. And there are several reasons for that. We'll get into that in a little bit.
So the men started out very hypogonadal with a total testosterone of somewhere between 1 and 300 nanograms per deciliter, but they were only replaced to about 600 nanograms per deciliter. And while that's a reasonable rate of replacement, I don't think it represents what's happening in the world.
Absolutely not. That is the lowest dose that makes you happy. If you go from 300 to 600, you're doubled. You're probably going to be happy, but you're going to still want more. You added on those 8 or 9 pounds of muscle and you're thinking, I want 8 or 9 more. And so you then double the dose. The HRT clinics, they prescribe you perhaps 200 milligrams, 250 milligrams, and you get even more jacked. And so you like it that much more. You're happier. Do you really think Chris Williamson was happy when he simply added enclomiphene? We saw the video where he was promoting this. He said he took something. He didn't list what it was, but we know what it was. And his testosterone levels were over 1,000. But yet he still ended up taking TRT. And look at this guy. Do you not think he wants to look like a C-bum or at least a smaller version of him? Of course he does. And so do the ladies. And so you can see the temptation. If I increase my testosterone dose to 200, my testosterone levels are probably going to be 12 to 1,500 nanograms per deciliter. But that is too high. It is not as safe. Could I get away with it? Maybe, but I shouldn't take that risk.
It's possible the Traverse trial only answered the question, does low dose, or as one of my analysts put it, does testosterone light replacement therapy increase the risk of cardiovascular disease? And I think there we can say the answer is probably no.
Great way to put it. Testosterone light replacement therapy, it's not dangerous and it's safe. We know that. But moderate to high replacement, we're not sure. I believe that moderate likely also is safe. If you're getting regular blood work done, remember you can get it from AlgoRx. Click the link in the description. And if your doctor's looking all over those values and it's saying, wow, HDL is good, LDL is good, creatinine's great, every marker, no problem. And you have low blood pressure. It's under 120/80. the chances are that the testosterone that you're using, it's not bad. But when you start pushing the envelope, I saw Alex Eubank on 200 milligrams a week. And Hamza, he had 1,500 nanograms per deciliter. He said that our ancestral tenants, kind of like what the Liver King was yapping about, that they were all at 1,500. Well, that's also bullshit. He's a liar. But, that's what Hamza is, a liar. You decide, I'm going to up the doses. That's when it isn't safe.
And I see patients getting super physiologic levels all the time. They come into our practice, they've been treated at some T clinic, and they walk in with a free testosterone of 35 nanograms per deciliter, which is like twice what you would consider reasonable.
And so even though I'm a part owner of AlgaRx, remember, the more that you buy, the more that the clinic makes. And so you have to be careful, especially with other clinics, that their prices are through the roof and they're incentivized to push and sell more supplements, more drugs, more medications than last time. And so remember, when the person on the phone that you're talking to from a TRT clinic gets a percentage of sales, a cut, do you really think that your best interest is in mind? I mean, for some people, absolutely. They have ethics. Most people do not. Once they see that dollar sign, they know that they can make more money. Hey, I want you to take 250 milligrams a week. We'll add into that telmisartan. Don't worry about the blood pressure. Telmisartan. Oh, and let's throw in some Cialis. Oh, and may as well take some HCG. And why not? Let's just throw in some enclomiphene while we're at it. I know. IGF-1 and perhaps some GH, MK677. What else can I give this person? Does that sound familiar? Remember, I've done phone consults for years. Do you know how many people I've had consults with from other HRT clinics? I don't even need to name them, of which they were pushing $10,000 to $15,000 worth of medications per year. I'm like, don't do any of that and take half of that HRT dose and that's it. You might think that it's perhaps a waste of money to talk to Coach Greg or to get a coach and so on. I do, in fact, charge a lot of money, but I'm not going to sell you the bullshit. I'm going to be open, honest, and transparent. I tell you exactly what I'm doing, what I've done in the past, and what I believe that you should be doing. And you can trust Coach Greg.
So you'll see these men who are on these super physiologic doses of testosterone also showing up on 5-alpha reductase inhibitors, which we could talk about why I'm not a huge fan of those.
Exactly. Should you be taking polypharmacy, you need to take finasteride. Previously, I said I was at 5 milligrams of finasteride. It's just a lot. For steroid users, you're probably going to take 1. This can reduce your sex drive. It's causing problems. It's not just for me, for other people. Thankfully, I was able to stop as I did not have prostate cancer.
And on aromatase inhibitors, which I'm also not a fan of.
Stop?
Exactly. If you need to rely on Arimidex or Nova because your testosterone levels are so high that it's converting too much to estrogen, your dose is too high. Stop. If you're taking so much testosterone that you're developing gynecomastia, that is a negative side effect. It's too much and you don't need it. Now, I get it. You want it, but you don't need it. And so anytime you're getting these side effects, anytime you need polypharmacy, please ask yourself, are you just smoking some copium and just trying to convince yourself that you need those doses that, hey, the doctor prescribed it and so I need it? If it's from a TRT clinic, they're incentivized to sell you more. And so please be careful. Ensure that you're taking the appropriate dose for you, and you need to do your own research.
We do see men who have like a permanent loss of libido. This is reported in the literature.
That's what finasteride syndrome is?
Yeah. So basically there's something about blocking DHT that might not be a great idea.
Permanent loss of libido would be bad.
Yeah, permanent loss of libido would be bad. And you know what would be even worse? Permanent loss of the ability to get erections. And that has happened. People call me up and they're like, hey, I did one cycle. I was on 500 milligrams of test. I threw in some Anavar. And since I've stopped, I can't get an erection. What can I do? They'll pay anything. I'm like, Cialis, Viagra? Of course I've tried that. I'm calling you, Greg. What can I do? Well, what are your testosterone levels? Can you go back on HRT? There's a lot of problems. And so remember, if you ever choose to go on steroids, a cycle, that potentially can cause you problems for the rest of your life. While you're on steroids, typically for most people, their libido is through the roof. But then what happens when you stop? The opposite.
Yeah, fertility for sure, right? So at once you give exogenous testosterone, you're going to cut down on endogenous production, including sperm production, and therefore you're going to see a reduction in fertility.
I do know many bodybuilders, IPV pros who have abused testosterone. I abused testosterone, had my sperm tested, was 100% viable. And so does it affect everyone in this way? No, but some people, because of their abuse of steroids, they can't get people pregnant when they get older. And so if you do ever want to have kids, please be careful.
Generally speaking, 2 years of exogenous testosterone can spell the end of endogenous production and therefore a lifetime dependency.
I remember when Mike famously said, if I ever stop taking testosterone, I'm sure that my testosterone will just go back to normal. And Peter Tia's like, well, how often do you take breaks, like during the last 13 years that you've been using it? Never.
How many weeks a year are you completely off any anabolic agent?
0.
And how many years has that been?
13.
I find it hard to believe you would continue to make testosterone.
Like Mike actually thought that most people recovered no problem. Peter Tia, he knew better. And so if you're always on steroids, never taking breaks, please be careful and careful what you wish for. You may never be able to get it back.
What else haven't we said about the risks of TRT?
I think there's another method of delivery using clomiphene and enclomiphene.
And so my personal opinion is, especially if you're younger, you should try to use enclomiphene first. If that can fix the problem, then why not? I mean, you can always go from enclomiphene to HRT later, and so why not use enclomiphene first?
And these are drugs that have the advantage of preserving fertility. They work by inhibiting estrogen receptors in the hypothalamus that trick the brain into thinking you need more testosterone. So now the brain, via the pituitary, starts producing more follicle-stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone, and you end up increasing endogenous production.
No matter who you are, it's likely going to at least be able to double your testosterone. And so if you're at 300 nanograms per deciliter, likely can get it to 600 and or even more. I even have one client, he's at 1,200 nanograms per deciliter. I swear. I'm not bullshitting you. You guys, if you don't believe me, whatever. He's got 1,200 nanograms per deciliter. I've gone over his blood work a number of times. This is 100% natural. He decided he wants to use enclomiphene no matter what, prescribed by a doctor. And so no big deal. I said, you don't need this. You're already very, very high. And so what happened? He was well over 2,000 nanograms per deciliter. Now, I asked him, do you have any negative side effects? Because when you have higher levels of testosterone, you can get anxiety, you can get anger. Remember Mike Israetel? All you feel is rage. He says, absolutely, I have all of this. He's only on enclomiphene, but yet he feels the effects of having higher testosterone. He's grinding his teeth. He's angry. He's wondering, why am I so upset while driving? And so when you have higher levels of testosterone, remember that it can, in fact, change you as a person. You can become more aggressive, more assertive. For some people, this is positive, but for others, it's negative. More difficult time sleeping. When your testosterone levels are too high, it can increase cortisol and you're just simply amped up. Not perhaps like on caffeine, but you have more desire to work hard, to push yourself, but you cannot relax as much. These are some things that people don't talk about. And so you have to weigh the good with the bad. At my doses, I feel good. I mean, I always feel good. It's almost embarrassing for me to say when people ask me how I'm doing. I'm like, my worst day, it's like your Christmas morning. It's like your wedding day. It's amazing. It feels good all the time. Not everyone has a life like that. I wish you had a life like mine. This is an amazing experience. But if your testosterone levels go too high and you get angry and aggressive and all you feel is rage, and when you read comments from guys from Bangladesh and it upsets you, it angers you, and you're just walking around thinking, I dare you to say something. This is Mike Israetel's daily life. He's stated this. That's my daily life. Is it worth it? Do you really want that? The lowest dose that makes you happy. If said dose makes you angry, aggressive, irritable, cranky, not able to get a good night's sleep, lower the doses. The lowest dose that makes you happy is the dose that makes you happy. It's a Gregism. That's the dose. Upper doses, when you keep pushing it up, you get more muscle, but you get less happiness. And remember, bigger biceps, pecs, delts, and so on doesn't make more girls want to come talk to you. It's not going to happen. And so what you need to do is be happy within yourself, in your own skin, to like how you feel, and you will at the lowest dose that makes you happy. And so if your current dose right now, which is 0, and you're not happy, you don't have the energy, the sex drive, the energy, being able to sleep, you have insomnia, whatever, that's not making you happy. And so contact AlgoRx. Decide after getting blood work, what dose can you take to make you happy, and choose the lowest. Does that make sense? I'm 10 years into TRT. Best decision ever. My doctor is old school, avoided TRT for a long time. He recently told me that since he started prescribing TRT to his patients, they all started to not need ED meds, anxiety meds, antidepressants, sleep aids, and they have better biomarkers, and the net result is he prescribes less drugs overall. Many people don't understand that if you use TRT, it can help prevent you from needing other drugs. TRT alone could have you not needing Cialis or Viagra, or perhaps you're depressed because your testosterone levels are too low. You take testosterone, it kills 2 birds with 1 stone. He told me he has had men and women shed tears to him saying TRT saved their marriage and changed their life. TRT is about quality of life, but you must monitor your blood work forever, which ultimately is beneficial to your health because you are paying attention and your doctor catches them immediately. And so, great comment. And so you can see TRT can be a savior to many people, but if you're taking it in abusive doses more than you need, it can be your demise.
Long-term use of clomiphene is probably not a good idea. The drug was never intended to be used long-term. It's a fertility drug.
And so one of the things with enclomiphene is it's not intended for long-term use. It's for more of a temporary use, perhaps 3 or 4 months. And so this is a fertility drug. And so why not try enclomiphene first, see if that can remedy the problem, and perhaps you can stop. And if it doesn't work, you can then move on to HRT. Now remember, if you're not at the level where you want enclomiphene or testosterone, you can of course use G-Test Platinum as well as Turk Builder Max. This does not increase your testosterone, but it does increase your ability to train harder than last time, to build more muscle, recover better, and just feel better. G-Test Platinum, if you have lower levels of testosterone, you can increase by 200 to 400 nanograms per deciliter. That can make a significant difference. Remember, these have a money-back guarantee and a $20 gift card. And so if they don't meet or exceed your expectations, money-back guarantee and a $20 gift card, code Greg, 15% off. Subscribe, click the bell button, comment to boost the algorithm. Please like the video if you liked it. Don't forget to watch one of those 2 boops. Also, if you're a store or gym owner and want to carry our supplements in your stores, click the link in the description. As well, we're looking for sponsored athletes as well as ambassadors. And so if you want to be part of the fastest growing supplement company around, click the link in the description. And until next time, I am out.